fix my shirt, so you can't tell what kind of a hoe I am. The type of hoe that doesn't wear shirts underneath their sweaters.
Oh, I was like, ramen hoe?
Oh, for sure. Maruchan for life. I would make that my logo if I could. Be
Ramen
Maruchan.
hoe.
Ramen hoe.
You need some fan art of this. Just like some hoe dressed in ramen. Just like...
Yeah, me. I'm the hoe. You'll see pictures of me on my OnlyFans of just me with ramen.
Not even the cooked ramen. Just like squares of ramen over the nipples and the genitals. Just like...
Oh, yeah.
Just with straps.
Hey guys, welcome back to ExtraHuman. I am your host with the most, Michael.
And I am the host with the second most. I don't know. I'm assuming you came back from the first episode, so thank you so much for sticking around. If this is your first time here, welcome to the dungeon.
And if it's your second time here, welcome. You need no further explanations. Today we're covering something that Garrett wants to talk about. What is BreadTube?
Yeah, what is BreadTube? Well, it kind of varies a little depending on who you ask, but broadly, according to the Wikipedia page, which, you know, it's a thing because it has a Wikipedia page, BreadTube, or LeftTube, is a term used to refer to a loose group of online content creators who make content explaining or giving editorial opinions from socialist, communist, anarchist, and other left-wing perspectives. So you and me are both leftists. Yeah. I mean,
I would say that's safe to say. It took me so long to figure out the political sphere. I didn't understand politics, like fun fact, until I was well into college. I had friends who knew whether they were a Democrat or Republican when we were in high school. And I was like, isn't liberal one of them? I didn't know exactly what to pick. And now I vote Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I'm pretty left-leaning even for a Democrat.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I definitely vote Democrat, but my satisfaction with the Democratic Party is very limited.
Oh,
very
yeah.
limited.
Oh, yeah. Like, when I say I'm Democrat because, you know, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
It's just
this is a country with a two-party system.
This election's got me so sick to my stomach, homie. Like,
oh, Sam. It's just been an endless parade of disappointment.
Yeah, for real. So on the topic,
I just lost your video for a second.
Oh, son of a...
Right, everybody. Looks like I'm by myself for a little bit. So BreadTube is actually kind of a nebulous grouping. Other names include LeftTube. BreadTube creators generally post videos on YouTube, which are then discussed on other platforms like Reddit, where there are individual subreddits covering the most prominent BreadTube channels, with r/BreadTube covering smaller channels and serving as an unofficial hub for the otherwise unconnected channels with content creators. Oh no. So I was already like kind of left-leaning before I even discovered BreadTube, right? But right as Donald Trump got elected and I saw how like Bernie Sanders ran but wasn't really, like the general American populace didn't really appreciate him, I felt so much despair and confusion about like what was going on and how to square it with like my view of the world at that time. And then I stumbled on ContraPoints' What's Wrong with Capitalism video, and it changed my life. There are countless stories out there of people who have like seen one of her videos and instantly like reevaluated their position on the political spectrum.
And on that point, she was a huge part of me when I was trying to sort out the whole being trans thing with like little to no help. I came out, my egg cracked, so to speak, when I was in Japan with like no one to talk to. I was taking my first like actual gender studies class. I was freaking out because, you know, the term trender gets thrown around a lot. You like can't help but freak out that you're one of those, and you don't want to be one of those people because it takes away from the trans community. And when I got home, before I decided to come out, I was having another existential crisis about this, and I found her video on transgenders. It came out around, I have the video up right here. Yeah, July 1st, 2019, which 2 months later is when I would have come out to my family. First, I was the type of person that didn't understand being trans. Then I became a trans ally. And then I started to figure out more about myself, and I started to realize, oh no, it's me. I am the one who is the trans. There isn't anything wrong with experimenting. It's not like it's a slice of pie and you're taking away from others. Even if it turns out to be just a phase, maybe it's not just a phase. It was a part of your life that you felt important enough to test out. Going through that isn't going to take away from another trans person's experience. And I don't know if I would have had that opinion if it weren't for ContraPoints back when I first started this.
And she did a very good job of making it clear that, like, it is transition for a reason. You have to get from A to B, and it starts with all just, like, testing things, you know,
Testing the water.
trying on a different pair of shoes, you know, throwing something on your face that you wouldn't have had otherwise. There should be so much more freedom for people to experiment.
Normalize it.
So, like, this was my gateway to BreadTube, right? ContraPoints. It opened up this whole world of, like, other leftist content creators, and this just started becoming a real thing, like, in 2017, basically after Donald Trump got elected. Because YouTube used to be, and still is, very dominated by right-wing commentary and, like, reactionary opinions, right? But now that Donald Trump is in office, there's been this big kind of backswing into leftist territory with some really good content.
I'll just list off what I'm currently watching because my list is shorter than yours. I'm currently watching PhilosophyTube. I really enjoy his content. ContraPoints, Big Joel, and Shonalika. I always want to be like Mona Lisa. I think it's Shonalika. We had a discussion before starting this, but we both feel that Lindsay Ellis should probably be on this list.
I feel like most people would agree that she is part of BreadTube, but that kind of goes back to the whole what is and what is not BreadTube, because there's leftist content on YouTube, and then there's like BreadTube, which may or may not be a smaller category, because there's like, when you think of the word BreadTube, you think specifically of ContraPoints, PhilosophyTube, H Bomber Guy, and maybe a couple other people, but like there's core BreadTube, and then there's like the rest of leftist YouTube. This is far from an exhaustive list, but I watch PhilosophyTube, ContraPoints, Lindsay Ellis, H Bomber Guy, Thought Slime, Shonalika, Big Joel, Carlos Maza, formerly of Vox, Peter Coffin, Innuendo Studios, Cat Black, Vosh, HasanAbi, or Hassan Piker, formerly of the Young Turks, intellectual media.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I got really excited about that for some reason.
I mean, I get excited about Hassan Piker too. Don't get me wrong. Also, intellectual media, Second Thought, and Jack Saint, among others, because there are definitely more, but those are the ones that I could just think of off the top of my head to put in this outline.
So if we were to like compare 5 of them, or
well, I've already talked about ContraPoints quite a bit, and everybody kind of gets compared to ContraPoints, right? Because she was kind of a trailblazer in terms of the format. I mean, look at what I'm doing. Look at what I'm doing with this purple ass light, bisexual colored lighting. That is her hallmark.
It's a lot of mood.
She, as far as I'm concerned, she started that trend. Not everybody's doing that, of course, but I'm definitely trying to bite her shit. So I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm just a Contra stan. But in addition to her, I just picked up watching Shonalika.
Shonalika, from the videos I've seen, has backgrounds similar to mine, where it's kind of just, this is my house, and that's the background you get.
See, that's
valid.
I've only
seen like 2 videos. Yeah, I've only seen like 2 videos of theirs.
They do music too, and like they sing.
That's
There's
awesome.
this one video where they do a bunch of metal rap covers, like 10 different metal vocalists, and all of their videos are very extremely well reasoned. Like a lot of LeftTube is kind of surface level, I guess you want to say, or like, okay, if you're just getting into LeftTube, I wouldn't describe it as surface level, because like even the surface level stuff is pretty mind blowing, right? But if you want to get into the deeper discussions, like what was the one that I saw recently? Oh yeah, dealing with despair. Like how do you not fall into despair when you feel so powerless as a leftist person who is, you know, a minority and kind of in this state of background fear at all times. They have a very good video about dealing with that kind of despair and like finding, you know, ways to productively use your energy.
I often watch a lot of LeftTube content with the subtitles on because I have some sensory processing problems. And so when there's large amounts of talking using more complex words that I may not know, which is what sucks about YouTube taking off like switching everything to auto captions because that thing sucks.
I know.
Arse.
That is such a nonsensical move. I don't understand why.
I think we could potentially still put our own captions on, and we want to try and do that in the future. If not, we're going to try and start embedding them in the video. It's just a lot of work. And that's my commentary on why I only watch a couple different channels is because a lot of times my brain just stops. It gets overwhelmed, and it takes me 2 hours to watch an hour-long video. Nonetheless.
Yeah. Some of them do get pretty long.
Which is totally fine, because I like listening to them while I'm dozing off to sleep, too. Obtain socialistic knowledge while I sleep. Good night, world.
I mean, some people on the left side of YouTube are actually pretty soothing. Like, Jenny Nicholson, I wouldn't describe as, like,
You watched Jenny Nicholson? Or Jenny Nicholson? That's awesome. Did you see her spider episode?
I did, and it was so adorable.
It was
and
awesome. I never would have considered her LeftTube. That's awesome.
I mean, I don't even know if I would count her as LeftTube, but yeah, there's a very broad interpretation of the term LeftTube. But she definitely is friends with LeftTubers, so I would say that she's not LeftTube. I don't know.
She makes me want to crochet a giant spider so that way I can send it to her. Like, I want to see if I can outdo the one she went and bought and just crochet this giant stupid spider. On the topic of their voices and stuff, I would say that falls under the, like, quote-unquote trope of LeftTube. So you've got, like, colored lights and stuff that's a very aesthetic feel. You can get the feel of what they're going to go for in the video from their thumbnail, and they'll stick to that aesthetic the whole video. Like, ContraPoints is a really good example, but that video you had me watch recently from PhilosophyTube where he had the Illuminati painted on his hands and the pyramid, the all-seeing eye, and his eyes were blindfolded. That was a really cool aesthetic, and he would cut back and forth between just a call interview, kind of like what we do for our channel, and that aesthetic. And so I would also say that, like, costumes are another huge part of it, and then their voices. Now, how can a voice be an aesthetic? They all talk very similarly. They talk in a way that is relatively slow. It's understandable, and when they get excited, their voice starts to go up a little bit, and they talk a little bit faster. But otherwise, it is very much, I don't know how to describe it other than a whole ass mood.
I mean, it really is, and I think that comes from their artistic backgrounds. Oliver Thorne is an actor. Natalie Wynn is a musician and fucking orator. Lindsay Ellis is in the business of media criticism. I mean, they've all been doing this thing in front of cameras for a long time, and they know that they want to be heard clearly, so they make an effort to be so. Some of them make more of an effort than others, because let me go further down my list. Intellectual media. Her analyses on the situation can be really unique because she comes at it from, like, a very Afrocentric political perspective, and that's something that LeftTube in general kind of lacks, unfortunately. Like, there's not enough boosting for people of color. It's a lot of white people, right? So,
a lot of the media I consume ends up being like that.
Watch intellectual media because there's a lot of goodness there. But the way she delivers her videos are, like, it's very, like, straight to the camera. Like she'll have, like, other images and stuff going on, but she's just gonna, like, deliver that speech. It doesn't come with any skits or, like, I don't know, music or nothing. Like, not as much as paid to that. It's a lot more information heavy than presentation heavy. And that's another trope that we could talk about with BreadTube is, like, presentational versus conversational. ContraPoints and PhilosophyTube are very presentational because they use these colored lights. They work really hard on their sound quality. There's a lot of design and thought that goes into the visuals of their videos. Lindsay Ellis, too, a lot of the time. She has a great video where it's, like, manufacturing authenticity for fun and profit, and she has, like, 4 different sets, and, like, they're all different time periods and different vibes and, like, even aspect ratios. It's crazy.
I would say that Big Joel falls under our next category then.
Yeah, conversational.
He's only recently started working with the webcam.
A number of these people actually started off much more like off screen, not visible.
Yeah.
And have gradually come forward. But, like, that doesn't actually describe the next one I want to mention, Kat Black. She's been on YouTube forever, before LeftTube or BreadTube became a thing. I think she's been on since known and doing stuff since the late 2000s, early YouTube.
I know I've heard that name before.
Yeah, and she just kind of has conversations to the camera.
So I've heard of her before. I have never watched any of her content. I don't know.
Watch.
We're going to go over what I'm going to watch.
For sure. We're going to give you some homework. If you don't mind a more conversational format that may not be quite as easy to follow, but is a little more off the cuff and just still easier to digest because it is conversational, Cat Black is the way you want to go. And she gets really personal, and she's not necessarily issues focused a lot of the time. She's always bringing her own experience into the mix. That's something that a lot of LeftTube has in grand doses. Some of the best LeftTube content comes from when people are disclosing their own personal life story, which there's a lot to be said there about parasocial relationships and stuff coming off of that. But nonetheless, it really drives home the points that they're making when they bring examples from their own life into it. I'm getting all excited, and you're like, oh,
no, I was just going to comment on that.
Watch the video. Watch the other videos. Their stuff is better than our stuff. Our stuff is boring.
No. Stop. I haven't had my cup of coffee yet because it's just been go.
Coffee.
Yeah. I recently switched my diet over to a more vegan thing, so I have to get this in me before I get my first cup of coffee usually. Otherwise, my stomach will be upset. Moving forward from that, what then? Because you keep saying parasocial. You've mentioned several times how they talk about things going on in the media right now, things going on through our rigorous nose to the grindstone news cycle. So what makes a philosophy channel different from a commentary channel?
Well, I think that philosophy versus commentary is kind of an interesting way to frame that dichotomy. There is a strong dichotomy within LeftTube of stuff that is trying to comment on current events as they happen, and stuff that is more cold take, thought out, more heavily researched, and it's not necessarily about the topic of the day, although it might include it, but it usually connects to a bigger idea that has a bit more longevity.
I've also found, though, that when they do have commentary, they use that commentary as a vessel to teach you something new related to philosophy, or how you can use philosophy to digest what is going on in the world around you. And I feel that is something different than just regular old-fashioned commentary channels. One of my favorite commentary channels right now is D'Angelo Wallace.
Oh, I love D'Angelo Wallace.
We stand him in this house. He tends to do a ton of research on his stuff, but most of the time, he even says it, I'm talking about my opinion on this and stuff, and whether you learn something or just want to gossip about it, that's totally up to you. He did recently a thing about the whole Shane Dawson, Toddy Westbrook, and James Charles.
Fucking Snake Man.
Skeletor.
What's his name again? Jeffrey Skeletor.
He skeeves me out, man. I feel real bad saying that, but he's also not a great person.
He
so
does.
I don't feel that bad.
Jeffree Star has skeeved me out since 2008.
Yeah, bro, same. But the difference between the content that he creates is mostly it is a vessel for entertainment, and it is specifically his opinions on the matter. When
it comes to the format of these channels, a number of them are kind of like D'Angelo, where they're commentary channels. They'll talk about some sort of current events topic. A lot of the times it's going to be in the form of a live stream. Vosh is very well known for this. Hasan is very well known for this. Their videos are literally just live streams of them talking with their live stream while watching some other video, looking up some article, and they're talking about whatever stuff is going on that day or that week. It's a very fast turnaround sort of thing. They say what's going on and they offer their opinions on it, and these opinions are very left-wing informed, and they won't necessarily dig into the deeper philosophy of it, but if you know anything about leftist philosophy, you kind of know where they're coming from.
Yeah. It
becomes a very of-the-moment conversation. On the other side, there are also the more big topic-driven videos that take longer to produce and are about bigger topics overall, but they may use more or less current events as sort of points in the argument or as examples. They both have their merit, and all of LeftTube can kind of place itself on that spectrum. And it really is just kind of linked to how often their release schedule is. Like Lindsay Ellis, ContraPoints, they sometimes won't release anything for months at a time. But whenever they turn something out, it's usually long and well-researched and highly produced versus somebody like Vosh or Hasan who will put something out like every day and it'll be just very off the cuff, unrestricted, unedited, and it's all very fresh. And then you get people in the middle who are trying to, keep up with what's going on, but also put a lot of reason and maybe some production into it. I would say that maybe Thought Slime is a good example of that. So content for all, depending on what you like. If you like long form, we got long form. If you like short form, we got short form. Hot takes, cold takes, we got them all. Takes galore.
You can really tell that this is definitely your topic, because I'm like throwing shit at the wall and I'm like, did that stick? And you're like, no. Here's what you want to say. It's pretty clear that we fall more into commentary for the sake of commentary, because I don't
this is like episode 2. I don't know what we fall into yet.
Well, here's the thing. We haven't invested a ton of research. So far, we're currently talking about mostly things that we enjoy. So far, we've talked about ourselves and then something you like, and then maybe next video we'll talk about something that I'm well versed in and stuff. But we haven't gotten into heavier discussions. Like we're planning talking about how we're feeling about J.K. Rowling right now, and like talking to a couple friends to see if maybe they want to come. If
you haven't watched it yet, watch Shonalika's video on J.K. Rowling and transphobia.
I am working on it
so
right now. Yeah.
Good. I am obsessed with BreadTube, and I am not sorry.
No, absolutely. Never apologize. But I would not go so far as to say that our channel as a whole even deserves to be on the same league.
Maybe someday. I'm just saying, in my heart of hearts, in my dreams, maybe we could be on their level one day.
Maybe. Someday.
Sometimes, you'll find that BreadTubers don't always get it right, and their fandom is very quick to point that out. BreadTube as a whole is very good about not shying away from those sorts of contentious issues and topics. And there will very often be videos that come out that directly address whatever intra-BreadTube controversy is going on. And it's, I think it's wonderful because we're all in this process of learning together, and we should all be giving ourselves and each other room to grow. And, watching more of this kind of content is a great way to go about doing that, because especially for the uninitiated, like there's so much to learn and there's so much to rethink about our world, and these videos help do that.
Yeah, it's kind of like the philosophy of never stop asking questions. Question everything.
Yes.
Yes.
And
that's something that I really, really want to see in our comment section and stuff. I was actually really, really scared. If I'm going to have this conversational channel about these more or less controversial issues, will I be able to mentally handle the comment section? And the real life answer is probably no. Like, even still. But I will do my best to continue to grow and learn. And I'm hoping that you guys will help with that as well. And on that note, if you like our personalities and my natural charm, consider subscribing.
He says as he hides behind the microphone.
No idea. Yeah, I'm just sinking further down. Just pop Hide my face. Me. Thanks to you, I now want to really check out, I'm going to further check out Shonalika. I'm going to check out Cat Black, finally. You really recommended intellectual media, and I probably would really like to check out the more live streamy creators.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy Vosh. Well, actually, watching Vosh can be kind of stressful. It's hit or miss. Give him a try. Hasan might be a little more your speed, because he's got kind of this like 13-year-old boy energy that is kind of refreshing.
Sorry. Bro, same.
If you have any leftist content creators that you love and we didn't mention, you want to share them, please tell us down below.
Bombard the comments. Not only does it help the algorithm, but it also gives us more insight into what you love about BreadTube, who your favorite BreadTubers are, what things we should cover the next time we come across this.
Dude, I thought you said RedTube when you said BreadTube.
Earlier you said intrabread.
Intra-BreadTube.
And I was like, inbred.
This is such a problematic episode.
Oh my god, it's so problematic. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is Michael the monster under your bed, signing off.
And this is Garrett, the fairy from... Where am I from?
Right now is the fabric section of fucking Joann's. Stay extra, guys. Thanks so much for watching.
Bye!